Antarctica is absolutely huge, but it could become just a little bit smaller any day now. What will become possibly the largest iceberg in human history could break off from Antarctica literally any minute. It could be while we're filming this. Let's bring up this graphic. I want to show you an area of Antarctica, the Larsen C Ice Shelf, and you see a line cutting across there. It was a rapidly spreading crack in the ice, and we're talking about well over 100-mile long crack that was advancing in real time. And now we're talking about a crack that is extended over 120 miles. Only about 3 miles of ice are left, keeping this massive iceberg attached to the shelf that it's on. So a tiny little fraction still there. And that could go. There you're seeing that gigantic crack. Damn. That's keeping such a huge area. I'm gonna give you the numbers, but just, man, take it in. Antarctica is so huge. Jesus, I don't think anybody, and nobody knew. But you're seeing there that crack, and that crack is continuing to expand. So let's talk about what will happen when this thing falls off the Larsen shelf there. Satellite measurements show that the eventual iceberg will average 620 feet thick and contain about 277 cubic miles of ice. That's about 1 trillion tons of ice that is suddenly going to detach there, and theoretically could either break up or stay together, but in either case could prove dangerous to ships possibly as far up as near South America. And so we're talking about, it's difficult, like people keep saying it's the size of Delaware, it's the size of 20 New Yorks or something like that. But no matter how you quantify it, it's huge. And this is not something that happens inside of human history. So the good news is that, I know there's, so no, it's bad news overall, but at least it's already in the water. Yes. So if it was on land and broke off, it would displace water and then sea levels would rise even more. So since it's already in the water, that is not an issue. Yeah. But they're worried that more. Why don't I give them the stats on that? So yes, Eric Rigno, a NASA and University of California Irvine expert on Antarctica, told the Washington Post that Larsen C currently holds back around 1 centimeter of global sea level rise in the form of glaciers feeding into the remaining ice shelf. So they were talking about what we're directly right now concerned about possibly going off. And Cenk is correct. Antarctica is, it's not just floating ice. It's different than the Arctic. You have portions that are already in the water, and then you have portions of ice that are up on land. But what's interesting there is that if those areas that are already in the water break off, it then frees the path for the ice that's on the land to also go. And that's not just a lot of ice, it's a lot more ice. And so theoretically, the larger fear is that the southward and poleward progression of ice shelf collapse could continue. Farther south, there are ice shelves that, by stabilizing glaciers, are currently preventing vastly more sea level rise than Larsen C does. And look, depending on which scientist you talk to, there's a wide disagreement about how significant it would be if this continued to fall off. But this is a part of some of the apocalyptic sea level rise predictions that we've seen in the past, that this is one of the first phases of it.
Yeah. So I blame Metallica. I mean, they played a concert there, 2013.
Oh, they did. Did they really?
Raise awareness about global warming and climate change. Just it couldn't.
Did they rock too hard?
They rocked that glacial shelf. I don't know.
And now it's rolling off, rock and roll.
This is fine though. This is fine. This is fine. Can we just appreciate this? This is fine graphic. Fine.
So 2 more dangers. One is that very normal one and not related to climate change. It's a giant freaking iceberg the size of Delaware. So it's going to go into some shipping lanes, including the Drake Passage. And so, you have some possible Titanic-like situations. That's less likely in this modern age where we can see where they are better. And hopefully they're not like the Clinton campaign, and when somebody says, iceberg straight ahead, they actually swerve. But it caused some issues around shipping.
Wait, what was that Clinton campaign's iceberg? Other than here Bernie, take the wheel. I mean.
Yeah, no, we said, hey, watch out. The populists might have a chance of winning, and they were like, no, we don't have to campaign in Wisconsin or Michigan or anything like that. We got this thing on lockdown. What iceberg?
Cool, just wanted to make sure.
Okay, all right.
So the reason that I wanted to make sure that we cover this, and thankfully there have been people who've been tracking the expansion of the crack over time, and it's been taking a while. Partly I wanted to get out before that thing falls off because it's gonna happen. But also because I have a bit of a prediction. I think that humanity is capable of great things. I think that if we understand the significance of the threat that's facing us, we do have the capability to stop it. But we saw, we know that we have a big problem with guns in America, and we had Sandy Hook, and we decided as a country, yes, we will allow a bunch of kids to be gunned down. That is not enough of a shock to get us to do something. And we face, I think, a similar sort of shock here. If an iceberg the size of Delaware can crack off of Antarctica and go floating off around the world, and we do nothing then, I don't know what it will take to shock us into action. Action necessary to save our civilization. And so this is gonna be an interesting test for the world.
And again, the scientists do disagree a little bit on how important this particular iceberg is and what kind of consequences it'll have. They do not disagree on why it's breaking off. It's not because it's getting colder, it's because it's getting warmer. And they agree that it is clearly man-made. And so the final danger is when these ice caps melt and the methane trapped inside the ice gets released. You literally cannot put that genie back in that bottle. And so when it goes into methane is much worse than carbon,
right,
thereby making our situation on climate change far more dire.
Yeah.
So it's one thing when they go into the water, you can't bring them back in and reattach it, right?
Gorilla glue.
Yeah. And when they melt and the methane gets released, we can't put it back in, and that's when we're in real trouble.
Yeah.
If you like this video, you'll love the whole TYT network. Check it out at tytnetwork.com/join.